Alright, hello and welcome. My name is Ajax and welcome to another video. So instead of doing episode 2 of Back to Locals, I decided I wanted to do a deck profile instead for just the locals I did because for whatever reason, like almost no one was there this week. I guess it was because it was on Labor Day. Our locals are Monday. If we do locals later in the week and there's more people, I'll definitely give you a Back to Locals episode 2 where I go over every deck I played, the matchups, top 4, etc. etc. When it's like more competitive. There was only 5 people, so I got second with this deck. I wanted to play a fun deck. There weren't very many people, so I didn't want to play something ultra competitive. I just want to have fun. So this is the Unchained Deck profile. This deck is surprisingly good, and there's a lot of good players that have actually been playing this deck recently on Dueling Book, and I think the deck actually has potential. Is it a meta deck? No. Is it a relatively inexpensive rogue fun deck? Yes. So a deck that I wouldn't be playing over Pendulums most of the time. So we play 3 Reika, we play 3 Sarama, and we play 3 Aruha. These are all the baby Unchained monsters. So what you need to know about these things is every Unchained monster, when it dies by card effect or destroyed, by battle or card effect, they all float into another Unchained monster. As long as they didn't die by their own effect, they can all float with effects as well. These cards are all AZ plus ones. This card specifically sets a card and then pops a card, so you can set all your Unchained spells and traps after you use them, and you can use each effects of those once per turn rather than you can only activate the card once per turn. So for example, the Rhoda, you can activate the Rhoda to search, you can normal this, you can set the Rhoda, pop the Rhoda, and then special. So there's a lot of cool interactions with that. This is a quick effect to pop a card in your field, and this specials from the hand by popping a card in your field. So they all have different ways of popping cards, but that's basically all they do. We play 2 of the big boys, and then we play 1 of the other big boy. So the souls, the Soul of Disaster, and then the Abominable Unchained Soul. You need a soul to link into your Link 2 monsters. This can only be special summoned once per turn, so it's important you play this one, even though it's not as good. This one is a slow effect to link off your opponent's monster, which is also absolutely crazy. But you really don't want to see more than 1 of this. You're never going to use more than 1 of this, and you can technically recycle it from your graveyard if you really wanted to use it again. This you can special summon from the hand if a card would be destroyed by battle or card effect. Yeah, card's cool. Also, it comes back in end phase if it wasn't special summoned this turn, so if they pop it the next turn, you have a guaranteed follow-up because this is going to special summon itself back. I don't play Dingirsu in this deck, but these you can both summon very easily on your first turn and make a Dingirsu with, so that is an option. And then we play 1 of the Continuous and 3 of the Rhoda. This card's terrible. It just says if you link, you can destroy a card in the field, and it needs to be set to get its effect to special summon. So we really only play this because it's Unchained named, and this gives us 10 spells and traps to hit. We play 6 traps and then 4 spells, so that gives us really good odds that we're going to open 1 of these to pop. Yep. And then, like I said, this is the Rhoda, so you can activate, set, pop, and then special as well. So this card's like a +2. And card advantage. And then we play 3 and 3. We play 3 of the Raigeki Break and 3 of the Monster Reborn, which also have secondary effects where if they're popped, they get special out of the deck. This card's great. Not really much to say other than that. You need the Unchained names. Their secondary effects are good. Whenever I've ever played trap decks, I always feel like I'm playing a shit ton of garnets and bricks in my deck, because sometimes the traps just aren't good, or sometimes you're going second and you have a Solemn Judgment. What is that going to do? So these are great because not only they just never garnets, but their effects are also good too. So for our generic cards, we play 3 Extrav. Our Extract is important because we want to link off our monsters and using their monsters. But we don't need more than 1 of most of these, so Extrav is really good draw power for the deck. And then for our other generic card, we play 1 Cyclone. We have no out to Mystic Mine, so I really just don't want to lose that card. It also has other effects too that are good. So, well, the card doesn't have other effects, but it comes up in other ways as well. So, we play Triple Gamma and the 1 Driver. This is just the best hand trap this format. It just ends turns alone sometimes. This card's absolutely fucking nuts. Play double Nibiru. We really don't want to max out on this card because not every deck gets hit by Nibiru, and the ones that do can sometimes make it monster negate before I'm able to Nibiru them. So sometimes it's good. It's the sometimes but not all the times meme. So I really don't want to draw this too much, but I do like to see it. Double Ash. Ash is great this format for stopping, you know, Alistair the Invoker, fucking Meltdown, Nadir's Servant. Like, the card's obviously really good. Obviously hits Needle Fiber. But I really don't like maxing out on the once per turn hand traps unless they're absolutely broken. So, yep. Play Double Ogre. This, in theory, could be extra copies of Imperm. It does hit some decks, though, so it has come up for me multiple times when I was playing yesterday. So it's not a bad hand trap, but it's not perfect. Play one Imperm. I really want to play more than one of this, but I don't own them. I sold my Ultras to get secrets, and then no one ended up wanting to sell me secrets. Like, I've been looking for a while, so... eventually I'll have more copies of this, and then I'll play it, but it hasn't been a rush of mine because, you know, most Pendulum decks don't really play hand traps, so, like, I wasn't really focused on getting the secrets, and then I can't find anyone to get them anyways. And then for our generic going second cards, we play Pinkertops, and we play Double Dark Will No More. This card kind of conflicts with Extrav, because you need to use your Extrav at the beginning of the main phase. So if they have if they have an 8 negate or a 5 negate or whatever board, like, your Extrav is just going to get negated, and it feels kind of bad because, like, you have the Dark Will in hand to negate all their monster effects. So I really, like, I think those cards conflict, so I don't always want to open this card, but there are some decks that, like, I have to. I play an extra card of this inside to make this a 3 of. And when I do that, I actually do cut Extrav down to 2, because I really don't want to conflict too much. And then I can just use, if I do open it, I can just Extrav the next turn, because this deck is a grind deck. Like, there are 2 to 3 turns to OTK. We play one Pinkertops, obviously. Alright, so onto the extra. So we max out on the Unchained links, only because we need to see one. The Unchained links all recycle themselves, so, like, you really never need more than one of these, because they're just going to recycle anyway. If you have good resource management, but since we play extra, obviously we need to max out. So then we play 3 of the link 3. So this is how you can climb into access code talker. So this is going to link on your opponent's turn, and then this is going to link another monster on your turn, and then you go into access code talker and blow up their field. So that's it for the Unchained links. And remember, all these links, they need the Unchained Souls to link off into them, which are all special summonable from the deck because they're Unchained monsters. So you just got to remember, you just need one soul. We play one Phoenix, and we play double Unicorn. The reason is this card is, like, absolutely mandatory when our opponent makes us go first. This locks us into Dark Fiend monsters. It just so happens that Unicorn's a Dark Fiend monster, so it's almost like this card was made for us. So we get the effect to link off their monster, and then as well we're going to get to shuffle a card into the deck, so it gives us 2 generic interruptions. This card's crazy. So link 3s, we play one Trispania, banish all the back row decks, we hate them. Then we play one Abomination. Ironically, it's not that good in its own home deck. I mean, it's still a good card. It can help you clear fields. Like, once you've, like, broken a negate, then you can go battle phase, and you can end up popping 3 cards by end phase with just this card. So obviously it's really good, but you don't always need it, so I just put it at 1. And then we play the double access code talker. This card's, like, the best OTK machine you can put in this deck. Obviously it's not budget to play more than one of this. Like, it's hardly budget to even afford one of these. But the whole deck is, like, pretty cheap, so if you're able to get your hands on at least one access code talker, I recommend it. If you can't get your hand on the second one, just try to find another link 4, or you could just play, like, an extra copy of the Abomination Soul, because that'll help you clear boards on end phase, which isn't as good, but at least it's something. And then we play 2 super poly targets for Jagroon. Most of these cards target, and we don't have cards that can beat over 4k beaters outside of access code talker. So it's really, really important that we have targets for super poly, because we play that in side deck. So moving on to the side deck, we play an artifact package. So this card's great going first or second, so that's why I have it at more than 1. And then obviously the Scythe to lock our opponent on extra deck. So this deck can OTK if you set up to OTK on your following turn rather than playing, like, conservative. So something you can do is, if you know they're gonna make you go first, or you would like to go first because you're playing against, like, I don't know, like a hand rip deck, for example, you can lock them out of extra deck. Hopefully you can stun them for the turn, and then you can go off with your plays. Like I said, we played this at more than 1. I'd like to play this at 3 because it's obviously a great hand trap, but yeah, it's also searchable by Sanctum. Now, we're not maxing out on Sanctum because we're playing double Trap Trick. The reason for that is you could play 3 Sanctum, but then you open yourself up to bricking with more than one, when you could just go 2 and 2, because you play traps like Unchained traps in this deck. Obviously, most decks that play the Sanctum package aren't really playing traps. Ironically, they're just trying to stun them for a turn, or like stun decks, and then they try to OTK or whatever. So we really don't want to max on this card because we can use these, and then if we open this and this, rather than having double Sanctum, we can have this and an Abomination trap, or Unchained trap. And then for going second side deck cards, we have Evenlies. Obviously great into the going second decks, or not the going second decks, the back row decks, like the Subterra Gurus, the Altergeist cards are crazy. And then we play 1 Dark Ruler No More, so we can have our 3rd copy for the decks that we really need to see this in, or like the matchups. And we play double Droplets. This is another Out to Dragoon. Obviously this card is not budget, but what I would say is if you do not have access to this card, just play Chalice. Like this is also in here for Zexal locks, so. Then we play double Super Poly. This card's crazy. It's crazy how cheap this card is. Like you can get this card for like $2 right now for like all of its copies, like $2. So it's like $4 for 2. You could bump this up to 3 instead of a Droplet, for example. You run triple Super Poly, and then you have extra Ouster Dragoon. This also serves as a going first interruption as well, depending on what decks you're playing against. So that is the deck. This deck doesn't really necessarily have combos, but I'd like to show you optimal like situations of what you'd like to do, so you get a good understanding of how to play the deck. So I'm just gonna pull out some Unchained trap cards, and maybe like this, and this, and this. These are like some of like your lifeblood cards, like these core Unchained monsters. I pulled out 1 of each, right? So what I'm gonna show you here is like standard like combos. Like I'm not gonna use this as like a hand because that you don't play this an infinite hand. So what I'm gonna show you is like your main things are like you want to set your cards. So this is like your set. You're gonna activate a Ruha in hand to pop a card in the field, and then special summon itself, and then that's gonna special out a card or the hand or deck, and then you have all these options. Now sometimes you want to go for your Sarama, so you can reset the trap to get +1, pop this, and then because this has the floating effect as well, you can special another one. You like to do this with the spell card since you can use both effects that turn. The Regeki Break is also another really great interruption on your opponent's turn to pop card on their field, and then you can special one of yours out of the deck. This is the one that you're going to link off your opponent's monster, so you could do the Aruha. So Aruha in hand, pop this set, special, effect to special, summon Unchained Soul of its Disaster effect, link off your opponent's monster targeting, and then you're going to go into the link 2. And then you can make this into the link 3, and then link 3 is going to, these two in the link 3. And then this is going to link off your opponent's monster into an access code talker. So that is like the idea of the deck. Now obviously that was really simple, and I'm not trying to like explain how to play through interruptions with the deck, but I'm trying to give you like a baseline explanation of like what the cards do, so that way you can, you know, go through it as well. Don't forget that this card is not only its own hand trap, but it's also special summonable from the deck as well. So it's a 3k beater. It really helps you beat over some cards you really need to hit, and then as well it recurs itself. So I should also explain Reika again. Reika is the quick effect, and again you could cycle through all these Unchained cards on your turn, like all these cards, because like since they all pop each other, like you could special out of the deck, effect a set, pop the Aruha, Aruha sets the Reika, or specials the Reika effect to pop the Sarama, and then the Sarama can special this. Like all these cards like all special summon themselves. They could like do all these different things. So all these cards like you always have access to as long as you see one Unchained card, which is what I really like. The whole deck is tutorable by itself. So what I was trying to explain earlier, and I hope I got the message through about it. I hope what I said was like understandable. Is if you don't open a single Unchained card, if you can bait out their interruptions, you can still pop off because you can activate the prison. Like if you don't open up any of the monsters, I'm saying, the Rhoda, you can search the Sarama, and then the Sarama is going to normal summon to set 1, and then you can pop this to special out of the deck because you can use both effects that turn rather than just like you can only activate once per turn, or you can only use each effect or one of the effects once per turn. Like you can use both of these effects on the Rhoda. So now that you pop the Rhoda off the Sarama can special the Reika, and then you can quick effect Reika to pop the Sarama, and then the Sarama can affect the special the Disaster. And then Disaster is going to link off your opponent's monster. So all these cards are super easy to get into. Or you could special this if you want to beat over monsters. It's the same thing. And that's just like with one card. I'm not saying the deck is like, oh, one card combo 50 negates. What I'm saying is it's very consistent in the fact that each card can tutor into itself, and it's a really good going second deck, especially if you can simplify the game state. Like remember, we're playing like 50 fucking hand traps. Like we're playing Ash, we play Nibiru, we play Gamma, we play Ogre, and we're playing an Imperm. And then on top of that, we're playing going second cards as well. So like we have lots of ways to simplify the game state, so we only have to play through like 1 or 2 negates. In this deck, if you put up 1 or 2 negates, I'm going to destroy your entire field and link off your entire field, which is what I love. So like if I can simplify the game state and play through 1 or 2 interruptions, that's no problem. Because remember, all these cards get their effects when they're destroyed by battle card effect, right? So if like even if I normal the Reika and attempt to pop another card and they negate destroy it, the same effect's going to trigger just to float into another monster. So like it's really easy to play through a couple hand traps or disruptions. Like now if you have to play through 5 or 6 negate, that's the problem. But that's why we play hand traps and we play Dark Merlin and Mars, etc. So I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. I'm gonna just skim through this just to double check. Oh yeah, I should talk about going first. So let me I'll just show you the same row to play. So. And I'll assume that we're going first, and let's say we just opened up a trap trick. I'm just going to give us the benefit of the doubt that we're nuts at the game, like we opened like really well, right? So if you can open these 2 cards going first, like if your opponent makes you go first, you side expecting them to make you go first because you're going second deck. So the combo is you activate Abomination Prison. That's going to search you your Sarama. This is the card you're always going to search if you don't have access to anything else. If you have like an Aruha or another trap, it's different. You can search for the Aruha or the Reika. So you're going to normal summon the Sarama. The Sarama effect's going to activate to set the prison. And then you're going to pop the prison. And the prison's going to trigger to special summon out of the deck. Now you have to special an Unchained Soul monster. The reason for that is all the links require a soul specifically. Now you could activate its effect to pop the Sarama and then tutor for another Unchained monster by discarding one. But again, I'm just doing the quote-unquote 1 card combo. So you can, get your disruption. So you set 2, or you link for 2 into the Unchained Soul of Rage. This is the quick effect to link on your opponent's main phase, and then we're going to set the trap trick. Now, this is with 2 cards. This is not like some crazy board. This is not me trying to set up infinite negates. This is me saying how the deck plays going first. And the reason for that is because this is the deck's weakness, right? This is why we have a side deck for going first. So then your opponent does their play. They normal summon. We're going to link. We're going to pitch a card since we have 3 cards still in hand that I never used. And then we're also going to go into Nightmare Phoenix using your opponent's monster. And then we're going to pitch. So we linked off an opponent's monster. We're going to shuffle a card. And then as well, we have the trap trick as well that we activated in standby phase. That's going to set our... Oh, it's right. It's inside deck. I was showing you side deck. Sanctum. And then the Sanctum is going to special out our Scythe from deck to lock them out to stun them. And then our next turn, we already have access to an Access Code Talker. And then we have ways to get these cards back from graveyard that floats or whatever we had still in hand. So that's the idea if you have to go first. I figured I'd say that because a lot of people, when they see going second decks, they instantly wonder. They're like, well, how did they go first? What happens when they make them go first? Well, that's your play going first. You have a link away with your opponent's monster, you have a shuffle, and then you have a lock out of the extra deck. That is the idea of it. And if you play Super Poly, putting it inside, you can play Super Poly as well. So you have extra interruptions. And again, remember, like when you're pro side deck, a lot of people side out a lot of their core engine cards for side deck cards. So you really only need to set up 1 to 2 really good interruptions going first in games 2 or 3. So that is the deck. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would heavily recommend playing the deck if you do like slower decks. Again, I play Pendulum, so most of the time I'm playing Pendulums, but I do like Unchained. It's a fun deck. I might have a little bit more fun playing around with this. Who knows? Maybe I'll actually play this in next locals because I did well with it this time. We'll see. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.